different approaches were followed, but the patriarchal forces were really controlling, and the subordination of women continue to be there. And whatever the programs, whether right from IRDP Dokra she started and to this recent developments, the women component plan, etc., they have given some kind of enrichment, and also some latest programs could also recognize their agency, etc. But whether they have really given the power to, including the political participation, she was explaining that. Even that is from the constitutional amendment, you could sanction this, and the women are with political participation, the power to participate in politics, and thanks to even without a reservation, some 14% of the women could be parliamentarians, and some of them are in the cabinet ministers also. But still a long way to go. I cannot go on say that there are a few women there in the leadership position. It's called in women's studies tokenism. So we are not for this tokenism. We are there for the critical mass. The critical mass will always be like the 1/3. At least you have to reach that 1/3 so that you will be able to influence the space, the work, the policy, the interventions, the program, wherever you are placed. So that is what it is, not the tokenism of a handful of representation, people that Kiran Mazumdar is rocking there in women's entrepreneurship, or in ICICI, Chanda Kochar was very much recognized, and people in the banking services who happen to be CEOs in the finance or in the DRDO, etc., they are all rocking and they are excelling, even the counterparts, men counterparts in the respective field. But that is tokenism. We need the critical mass. So how to reach that? You have traveled, your journey has been very, very long. 1974 onwards, we have been, because that towards equality report really served as the base to understand the status of women in India, and then onwards, the government of India and other state governments started bringing various programs, and also different approaches, as rightly explained yesterday by Professor Sushila Kaushik. So I start from that point. Why you have applied several approaches, but you haven't succeeded in really getting the power, and what are the actual forces which are operating? So I'll plan the discussion. The first slide I have introduced the structure of the discussions. I'm afraid whether I'll be able to cover everything, but at least I'll do justice to highlight the important. So I start with the gender equity. There is a picture, I think Dr. Neela is presenting the PowerPoint. So the gender equity picture is given. It is a question, is it equal opportunities? So I already yesterday Professor Sushila Kaushik shared one picture where the apple tree, one short girl, another girl with little taller, and also she was able to be plucking the apple from the tree because she had a ladder little taller to the other one. So some adjustments were taken, and it was climbed in gender equity and equality, and finally the entire tree, it was one side slide over, and that particular short girl, and in order to render justice, you have to straighten the tree. That is what. So even then, it is not actually making the women's agency. You are helping, you are giving hand to come up, but you should recognize that women have their own power, and they can, given the freedom, given the liberty, given the opportunity and equal training and encouragement, they will definitely perform. But this again, this patriarchal forces in any form, sometimes it is present with the women also. It doesn't allow the women to really recognize their own capabilities, and nor the others in the society recognize these their capabilities. So in this picture, there is one. There are a number of animals. You have elephant, you have monkeys, you have fish, you have a cat, etc., etc. And it is told that the secure, to secure a fair selection, you all get the same exercise. You must climb the tree. So here, is it possible for all the animals to climb the tree and participate? And is it required as, it can be recognized as fair? So the equity and equality, everybody is given the same exercise. Okay, that is equality. But where is the question of equity? Fish cannot go and climb. And similarly, other some animals are there. So elephant even, it can only raise its trunk and then it cannot climb. The monkey alone can go and climb and do this exercise. So this is what the equity and equality difference. So you always say that you claim that everybody is given with opportunity, but unfortunately there are constraints. You apply the same logic to men and women also. And the next slide about women's tribal role. You must recognize that women play a tribal role, and that is, of course, some roles are not there present at all for men. That is the reproductive role. So you have productive role, and all of you know that productive means it has to bring some money. It has to have some monetary value. If it brings some, it is paid work, etc. So you go and market your labor and you get some money paid. So that is productive role. So all the other work that the women or men perform, if it is not paid, it is called as unproductive work. And so productive work, women play a productive role. Sometimes it is not paid, and therefore it doesn't recognized as a productive role. And they also have reproductive role. This under the reproductive, you have two reproductive roles. One is the biological reproduction, the other one is social reproduction. Biological reproduction is given by nature. You are being a woman, if you are married and if you want to have a child, then you will do that role, and it is natural. But social reproduction is something imposed to. That being a woman, you deliver a child, you do the biological role, and therefore you also do all the social reproductive activities there at home. It is nothing but all the activities which you perform, be a man or a woman. Sometimes men also perform social reproductive activities. And so this particular activity will help the men and other members of the family, including the animals in the family, if you are looking after the animal husbandry, to regain energy to carry forward their activities. So then that way, it is like Mariamma is told, the asserted that the capitalist system has been hugely subsidized by the social reproductive activities performed by women. Otherwise, they have to pay for everything. And if women are not performing all these social reproductive activities like care economy, the caring of the elders, children, the animal husbandry, etc., then everything are supposed to be delivered by men, and part of the time they will have to spend here, and they may not be able to report to the workplace. And that is what it is called the huge subsidy that the social reproductive activities to the capitalist system. And the capitalist system is also very comfortable and convenient, and overlook the kind of requirement that the women need in involving themselves or engaging themselves in the social reproductive activities. In fact, if it is really the capitalist system accepts the argument that all the social reproductive activities performed by women are subsidizing their wage, then they are supposed to do something to every household where men are employed or women are employed, by way of providing some facilitative environment. Of course, not just passive gender needs. You must also make men to share the activities. Now the government has given the gas stove, the mixie, the grinder. These are all the passive gender needs. You haven't changed the role, gender role. You accepted the gender role that the women are supposed to cook, and therefore let me facilitate her to engage in cooking by providing mixie, grinder. That is in Tamil Nadu government is giving women. When Madam Jayalalitha was the chief minister, this was conceived, and it is still going on. And so these are all, I can also say, gender stereotyping on the one hand. It is only addressing the practical gender need. You haven't changed the role, gender role, from women to men. If having given your grinder, the mixie, the gas stove, if men members in the family also go and share the work, then you can say that it is something strategic. But you are reinforcing the role and only facilitating. And passive gender needs doesn't answer the or recognize or take the women's agency to be recognized or implemented in the public space. And you also have community role, that is also very important whenever there is a kind of a shortage of resources or any other big rituals or festivals or local village festivals, etc., etc. It is the women's responsibility, and they will also take it as their duty, and they'll mobilize resources, the fuel would required, the cleaning of the place where everything will be happening, etc., etc. And also, if supposing the common property resources are drained, and they will go and offer themselves to renovate desal the particular drained resources, irrigation sources, etc. So with this introduction, that we need to understand that women perform more role than men, but still the patriarchy in which the society is flourishing further and further really fail to recognize the women's role. And whoever is here, I'm happy that some men are also attending, and I could see people from different disciplines, economics, commerce, management, and social work, several other disciplines, and across the country, and also from Northeast, I could see several friends attending. And this whatever we have been discussing here, of course, women's studies you must be doing already, and still some methodologies, no, whatever we use here, definitely the different methodology you would be using. So it is also a kind of exchanging our methodologies to gender sensitization. And for those who are in other disciplines, it is to understand gender and go back and revisit our own discipline, respective disciplines, and try to influence wherever it is possible. So at the end of the presentation, I'd be making some recommendations also, or suggestions, where what is the role of universities and teachers, etc. So there is an exercise that some pictures are given, and I request Dr. Neela to present them. And I'm afraid whether it is possible to interact, because for one thing is time is short. But if you don't agree with, I'll myself tell the answer for everything. If you don't agree, then please raise your hands, and there you are supposed to interact. Okay. So we have the picture. You see the pictures, and we have to tell whether it is sex or gender, accordingly whether it suits to men or women. And as of now, I haven't defined what is sex and gender, but let us watch this and finally arrive at what is sex and gender. I am again sorry that it is very, very elementary for the women studies scholars present in the group. And so here is one women performing Silambatam. Silambatam is a traditional art here in Tamil Nadu, and now a lot of women are into the Silambatam. And so the question is whether this suits to women or men. So it is definitely for both men and women. Do you have any say over this? Anybody raise your hands? If at all, if you don't accept, no, women cannot perform, you please raise your hands. Just because I say, you need not have to. So please raise your hands, or unmute your thing and come out and say. Okay. So this is sex. Sorry, this is gender, because women can perform the Silambatam. Women climbing on the tree. So given the training, women can climb on the tree. And by seeing the pictures, several, if we have in the physical the training done in the physical presence of participants, many would say, no, women cannot climb on the tree. But you must understand that in South Tamil Nadu, there is a community exclusively performing this task, like climbing the tree. And their task is to climb up and extract the turtle, and either take it for direct drinking, or they will prepare the jackery, base for the jackery. They take it as base for jackery. And so in that particular community, irrespective of gender, whether it is women or men, they will get trained and they will be doing. So this is something gender, and that it is not biologically determined. Okay. Then man cleaning the floor, washing the clothes. Many would raise your hands. I think it is not. Anybody there in this group? That no, men cannot clean the floor and wash the clothes. No, nobody. Okay, thank you. So it is. It appears from the very picture that men, because it is the structural stereotype here in our in our Indian context, that all the social reproductive activities in the household context, which is unpaid, or performed by women. Whereas if you go to the hotel, if you go to the marriage hall or any other place where this kind of it is again a social reproductive activity where the men will be performing and they will be paid. So this is politics. This is gender politics, where the same work which is performed for payment, they are all done by men. Whereas if it is performed by women, it will be unpaid. And even here, I can further down and deepen, into a deep analysis. The same work, this cleaning, floor cleaning or washing, will be done by the women also in the hotels or outside, and there will definitely be a wage discrimination. I was in one of my neighbors. I was observing this. A girl was called and she was asked to clean the sump, and she asked for 200. But with the bargaining, she was only given 150. Whereas the next time she couldn't get hold of a woman, and therefore she called a man, and where she, he was demanding 300, and this woman also paid 300 without asking anything. So this is gender. See, same work only. The same sump was cleaned last month. She bargained with the women, and there, see, the women, she asked only 200 rupees. She never asked 300 rupees. So how women value their own labor? They feel that, see, that is the issue. You stay back at home, you take care of all the activities, and if you come out and you hire out your labor, it is paid, and they feel that, okay, 200 is too much for me. But for men, it is not. Men, it is something breadwinning. They are provider of the family as far as the social construction is concerned, and therefore they demand more. They'll demand 500, they demand thousands, and this is a matter of 1 hour work. 300, she quietly paid. So how women themselves value the women's labor, and even the person herself. I value my work only worth 200, and I was quite happy to also, with all bargaining for 150 I have received. Okay, I was happy. But the man never allowed. He was about to go. No, if you don't pay 300, I'll go. So that is what I mean. So women driving a tractor. Is it, now it is very obvious, but if you take this to some other context or some 10 years, 15 years back, people will definitely say that no, women cannot drive, but women can drive. So what I am trying to say that whether the previous picture where man was cleaning and sweeping and washing the clothes, etc., or women now driving the tractor, is possible only when you give the opportunity. So men must also be given the opportunity to get trained there in the household context. And that is what Dr. Murgeshwari will talk day after on gender socialization, and you will also be getting very good resource person tomorrow who will be talking on gender and life skills, because life skills also is equally important, and life skills will help in gender sensitization, bringing gender sensitivity, instilling gender sensitivity. So seeing this picture, you don't have to say, oh no, women cannot. It is possible. So I'm also saying that it is gender, and I haven't defined what is sex and gender, but I keep saying sex or gender. Boy sweeping the floor, again gender. The boy and girl can sweep the floor, and very often the mothers won't allow the boys to sweep the floor, saying that no, boys, they can't. They are going to be the breadwinner of the family. They'll work and they will contribute to the family. Why should they do all these activities? After all, girls, they are going to be confining to four walls, and their responsibility is to sweep. But now things are changing. Women are also going out equally like men, even more than equally like men. But still, you are expected to be back and perform all these activities. And that is because of the kind of socialization or social expectation and the stereotyped expectation that the society imposes or expects from the women and men. And therefore, it is incidentally conveying that we have to necessarily re-socialize, and you have to break these kind of the construction prevailing in the society. Then girls flying the kite is again gender. Whether it is a man or a boy or a girl, both of them can do and they can play. The girls will also be equally important. I mean, equally interested. But our members in the family know, you are a girl, why you go and do all this? You sit back and play palanguli or the other indoor games. That is what it is being. In palanguli is a traditional game here, Tamil Nadu. And women shaving the face. Is it sex or gender? It is, of course, it is sex because it is not possible for women to uh, have shaving. It is, I am talking about men shaving. Men only have this beard and they shave. Man making dosa. It is. So I acknowledge this to Padmavati ma'am. Tomorrow she will be talking. I brought out these pictures from her. And man making dosa. It is possible. It's again, I was talking about the cleaning the floor. The same man won't do those activities when he comes back to home, whereas he'll be performing there in the hotel, all cleaning. And similar is the case. Thousand varieties of dosas will be made by men where there in the star hotels or even the roadside hotels, whatever. But the same man comes back, he doesn't do anything there at home connected to these activities. Men breastfeeding, no, it is sex. They cannot. It is possible only for women. So it is to establish. I am trying to say that it is sex. So man helping the child. Say earlier picture, it was breastfeeding. You cannot do. You cannot. Man cannot breastfeed, but man can help in child to sleep. So you have to understand the difference, because women only breastfeed, so they only should make the child to sleep. That is the stereotype. That is the construction. No, anybody can make the child to sleep, and therefore that should be given up. Man dishwashing again, like flooring or this thing. When women does this, men can also do that. And again, I emphasized already that the same work is being done by men outside. Women breastfeeding, this is sex. This is naturally given. Women only can breastfeed, men cannot. And man winnowing, yes, when women does this, men, again, it is not given by nature. It is man doing rangoli. So I used to go for a walk in the morning, and then several households, not several, at least a few households, houses, I can see men coming and cleaning the entrance in the morning, early morning, 5 o'clock, 5:30. And some of them will also put rangoli. So I used to, I thought I should take a picture, but I never have my mobile with me, and therefore, so what is the issue here? It is stereotype, like, and I also little further moved and analyzed who are these men who are performing all these tasks. Is it the youngsters or is it the working man? I understood later that whichever the household where the men used to come out and clean the entrance, and one or two households only men also bring this rangoli. And I saw them as little elderly. I think they have already got retired from work, and therefore they don't want to spend the time sleeping in the morning, early morning, and they come out, and of course many of them will go for walk and do their exercises. But this men who were about 100 households, I'm talking about one or two or three. So they are doing this. This is breaking the trend on the one hand, and it is also through communicating us that it is possible for men also to do it. But when these men do it, that is the question again. So again, as Madam Sushla pointed out yesterday, the patriarchal forces will always be there. Then man drying clothes. So this is possible. There was a story shared. Social welfare. One fine morning, man became a social welfare officer, and his wife asked to dry the clothes upstairs, and he went and looking for others, whether anybody is really seeing him. So he was a bit hesitant because it is not his work. No, it is in the general construction. The drying of clothes. I'm talking the average, not the exceptions. So men normally don't go up and try these clothes, particularly when it comes to the clothes of women. They don't. Even in the advertisement recently, I saw that he was struggling to dry that sari. He was successful in drying all the other shirts, etc. And he sought the help of his wife to come and dry that sari alone. So these are all, and many a time you can see that sharing of household activities, the men will do only their work. They will take and keep ready their products and their dresses, etc. And other dresses will die there as it is. But that cannot be done by women. Even when you, I mean, wash the dish or cook, or you are doing for the entire family, for every members of the family. But when it is to be shared, supposed to be shared, it has to be shared. The entire work is to be shared. It is not that I manage my work, I have washed my plates and so I appreciate it, because at least to certain extent that development is there, but we need to also go a long way. And having done this pictures, so now we are in a position to understand what is sex and gender. That is the very important aspect on which we need to first understand before proceeding to gender sensitization. And I definitely I'm sure that in this group of 216 members present, 50% of them might not have got informed what is the difference between sex and gender. So I read some of the statements of sex and gender. Again, it is the virtual interaction. We cannot really interact. I'll just say, and if you really have any doubts, please raise even now itself. Women give birth to babies, men don't. This is the question is whether it is sex statement or gender statement. It is a sex statement because women only can give birth to child. So when I say a particular statement and I explain, you must also understand what is sex and gender. As average woman is shorter than an average man. I mean, average woman is shorter than the average man. It is sex. Among Indian agriculture, and there are some dispute also whether it is sex or gender, but it is something to the nature given, and therefore whether the statement itself, average women are shorter itself, because of the muscle power, the in general the average the height of men are a little higher. Among Indian agriculture workers, women are paid 40 to 60% of the male wages. This is again gender. See, you go and you perform. I was talking about this work there in the hotel or outside, and I was explaining that how some cleaning was paid 150 and 300 for the same work for men and women. So this is what you don't value the women's work as equal to men's work. And that is connected because of the patriarchal construction, that the binary division of gender division of labor. Men are breadwinner, women are the caregiver. And so after all, women, if this work is not going to really help in breadwinning of the family, it is a supplementary income, it's an additional income. That is the perception for the general society, people, public. And most mechanical engineers are men. Yes, this is again gender, because you feel that men only can do mechanical engineering, men only can go, and it is again a gender division, and also it is a stereotyping expectation. And I can quote an example of many women doing mechanical engineering, but they end up with teaching mechanical engineering. They are not going and working in the factories or companies as men do. That is one thing. And whether the capitalist system, the factories, the companies will hire the woman who is qualified as mechanical engineer to the same position where the men are. Of course, thanks to computer engineering and computer technology related, because there more women are being recruited for the reason that that's usual reason why women are preferred. But there are some areas where even the people started entering such areas, whether it is civil engineering or mechanical engineering, but they are not placed back in the same way the men are going to. And therefore it is gender. Men's voices break at puberty, women's do not. It is sex. So naturally it will break, and that is something natural. In a study of 224 countries, there were 5 in which women did all the cooking and 3 in which men did all the home building. So any country, it is in the study 22-24. So it is again breaking the stereotyping. See, women did home building, whereas men did cooking. Good. So this is something gender. and both can be done by both members. Women can do cooking and home building, and men can also do cooking and home building. According to UN, women do 67% of the world's work, yet their earnings for it amount only to 10% of them. This is a great inequality. This is a great injustice. When I am doing 67% of the work, why should I get only 10% of the work? Every woman should question this. Every man should ask the women to question this. Why it is not happening? So I am going back again to the statement provided by Professor Shushla Kaushik, which is nothing but the patriarchal forces. So this is it is UN saying, it's not me saying. So once when I'm doing 67% as a woman, I'm supposed to get 67% wage. Why should I get 10%? Where does this 57% gone? So that is the starting point on which we need to question. So I have also given this difference, finally arriving at if it had been a physical interaction, we could have had some exercises and could have done better. But this is a virtual meeting. So based on the pictures I have shown, where I have pointed to the sex and gender differences, which is again followed by some of the statements. And now I give the present in a slide. There is a slide on sex and gender, and Dr. Neela can present that. So sex is something biological, and it is something related to chromosome, internal, external genitalia, and secondary sex characteristics, etc., and given by nature, and it is immutable. Whereas sex is just opposite. It is given by the society, created by the society. It is a social construction, and it is also environmental. Like the role of women in India or in Tamil Nadu may not be the same there in US or in the West. So that is why, or like men, environmental, shaping on sex. So it is a shaping on feminine and masculine. So you have to perform as a feminine. If you deviate, then you will be penalized, even in the childhood. That is what the social learning theory, gender socialization theory will say. Socially and psychologically determined. So it is not just sociologically, psychologically also determined by the society, scripted by society, socially learned. So it is also scripted through various norms, unwritten, customary, cultural norms and impositions. And they are carried forward through various institutions and major institutions of family, caste, religion. I'll be talking those in the media also. And changeable. This is gender is changeable. Like I can give an example. Like when we were in the schools, we were only wearing half sari or full sari. I mean, full sari here in Tamil Nadu context. Whereas now it has become a salwar, and all the girls in the schools are wearing. So 10, 15 years gap, there is a change. And similarly, girls are all in school. Earlier, when 20 years back, it was not. So there is a change. The construction is changed. Women are supposed to be in the kitchen. அடுப்பூதும் பெண்களுக்கு படிப்பதற்கு. That is the Tamil proverb and saying. And that has now broken, and girls are in schools, and thanks to all the state initiatives also. And it is culture specific. Same community, for example, marriage will take place, and you would never see in a marriage going smoothly, peacefully, without any conflict and clash of interest. And that is because of the differences in terms of the customs, the practice. You have already decided that you belong to this particular community, and you go for a choice from the same community. And even then, and sometimes the relatives happen to be close relatives, but they belong to a different region, and they will say, no, this is not our practice. We used to do only this, and this particular group will. So this is what the conflict arises. So it is culture specific and vary in gender roles. So this is what the sex and gender differences I want to say. And definitely people who are from non-women studies will appreciate this and take it forward whenever you see. When you see an advertisement, you see, say, I can quote here, I thought I should share this, but now itself I share. There is an advertisement like the woman who would be doing all, this is again stereotyping. See, she will be doing all work there in the kitchen. Suddenly, she was climbing up to take something, and she got into some back pain. And immediately people will bring the pain bomb and offer, and one brand of pain bomb, and immediately after 5 minutes she will resume to work. So this is what the gender stereotyping. So you always make the advertisement can play a proactive role where men can go and work instead of making again women who is suffering already with back pain, but it is commerce. It is relieving you from back pain. That is the focus. It never changed that instead of women, the men can also go and work. So this is what I mean, the kind of stereotyping that the women and many other thing also. I can also go to one more example. I think it was Vicks Vapor of long back. Now it is not coming, and the child would be suffering for the throughout the night, and they applied that. Mother has gone out, and the father will be taking care, and he just applied the Vicks Vapor and he got into sleep. The child was so into sound sleep. In the morning, the mother would be coming back with a briefcase, as if it is like returning from the airport. So that is what it is portrayed. So this is what I say. Okay, even in the absence of women, the men can take care. Of course, the Vicks Vapor is doing that particular task. That is what it is being, because it is after all business and commerce. But at least the portrayal was the woman would be returning from some work. So saying that women are employed and women also go out and they will come back in the morning, and men can also take this responsibility, be it with Vicks Vapor or whatever the other it is. So this is what I mean. See the difference between these, how women are being portrayed in the earlier and the second. So some kind of re-socialization required, and that is what we need to see in women studies. So women are physically weaker than men. This is the kind of the existing stereotype. We need to break that. No, women are not physically weaker. They are biologically stronger. Maybe men are muscularly stronger. That is given by nature. So if anybody says that women are weaker than physically weaker, and that is not because of the nature. It is because of the kind of social imposition on women. And in Tamil, we have Avai, very traditional ancient poet. She said, "Undi churukal pendikalavu," that you have to be slim. That is only when you are slim and you have your hip slim, you are beautiful. So, and she also told that no, don't tayal sol kelel, don't ask, don't listen to women. So this is what I'll go to that statement also later. So it is not physically weaker; they are biologically stronger. They just because you made them eat less, you always discriminate on the nutrition when there is only little available on the table. You will you being the mother, the sister, you will make the men the boys to eat, and you will starve or you will take only little. So this is what the UN says or claims that poverty has women's face. So whenever there is poverty at household, it is the women members in the family try to adopt themselves to have less or even go without food, rather than men also share that. And so that results in your weakness, you are unhealthy, you suffer with anemia, and therefore you are weaker. You are never physically weaker. Rather, you are stronger than men in terms of biology. Then men need more food and nutrition than women, as they do heavier work than women. No, giving birth to a child is the heaviest task in the life. So you don't say that men, because you haven't extended sufficient training right from the childhood for women, girls like boys. You at the end of the day you are claiming that no, you are a girl, you can't do that. You should have given the same kind of encouragement, same kind of training, same kind of pampering for both boys and girls in providing nutritious food, and also encourage. It is not simply providing, you must also encourage. You give everything, you ask them to even do engineering, maths, management, etc. But at the end of the day, when she wants to go out for work and either the other district or other state or other country, you will say no. You get back. We are arranging marriage. You decide. This is what the focus. So I am talking about. Of course, there are exceptions. Some 10% maybe, but 90% are still. Even it is happening among the educated also. So that is irony. Then patriarchy is natural, and nature itself has made. No, patriarchy is not natural. It is a construction. It's an ideology where androcentric women sexist views are being imposed every time. and gender discrimination is the result. And it is not that women cannot, men cannot care. I mean, need not have to have care. Say, for example, if something happens, some crimes against women, if some men are back, then the woman will run away like anything. And it is not that women cannot run. And there is a child suffering there, immediately the men will go and attend. It is not that women are not tendered, I mean, men are not emotionally, will not help, etc. The children are the special responsibility of mothers. No, I already told in the picture. When women breastfeed, the responsibility to go and make the child sleep can always be done by men. Marriage and motherhood are basic necessities for women. Not at all. You are then breaking, of course, I mean, hurting the women who are single, who even after marriage they have decided, those who have decided to not to get child. So it is not basic necessities at all. But unfortunately, in the given context, cultural context, it is understood so. Men are mature, women are emotional. No, both are equally, like women also will be mature sometime and emotional, and men also will be mature and emotional sometime. So it depends which. But in the socialization process, you have made, every time you have reinforced and emphasized that the woman should be tender, women should be soft, women shouldn't. And similarly, boys shouldn't cry. Even if it is, I used to ask in the training, when did you cry? I mean, when did you break yourself? Like they used to say, when my mother was there. So this is what, once in a life, they break themselves. But that doesn't happen. The participants will definitely say, in the morning I broke. So this is what it is happening. Then dowry is inevitable, divorce is wrong. So several other statements are there, because I have almost reached the time. I have to finish it up. I'll take some 5 more minutes, and then I leave it for discussion. So there are, because of the gender stereotyping, because of the kind of social construction prevailing in the society, and the misunderstanding of sex as gender. It is not, they are not the same. You really mistook, and that is really ruling the society. And because of the kind of gender stereotyping, the gendered expectations from men and women, and the binary division of labor, that the men should be the provider of the family, there is a secondary or a subordinate or suppression and subjugation of women. And the attitude also would be like docile and subservient to women. And they are taken for granted. In the COVID context, it was informed that several reports, and also the National Commission for Women in India reported that the domestic violence is on the increase. And that is because of the kind of changing equations in the, because men cannot stay back. That is what it is, has been established. And you have made the men always to occupy the public space, and occupying the private space for months together has been a very challenging task. And the outburst of that, the pressure of staying back had been shown to the women. Always the women would be receiving whatever the kind of issue that they face will show to the women folk in the family, and it is double or triple there in the COVID context. And therefore, COVID never relieved the women from the so-called the social reproductive activities. It has overburdened, and even the children also, like they started demanding, leave alone the families were already suffering poverty. It's 40 to 50% of the households who really face challenges of food security, economic security, etc. There the issue is different. There even getting a biscuit for a packet is a challenge. But here you have everything. The other 20% or 10% of the creamy layer, they started demanding. So irrespective of whether you belong to a lower income group women or a higher income, the drudgery and the overburden or dual or triple burden of the work almost increased, and it drained the women. An experience of like you got lost every day. So there are some important areas in which the discrimination prevails in the society. So these all things will be discussed all the other month-long days to come. And but to spell out where it is because of the kind of I mean, this gender discrimination has been because of the social construction, and these gender discrimination would also manifest into violence. So I'll try to just read out. One is the declining sex ratio. This is one of the important areas in which discrimination. There are supposed to be 1,050 women for 1,000 girl babies for 1,000 boy babies, but at least 1,000 should be there. But we only have 914. So that is a national average, and there are states and districts which project. I mean, which present even less than 800 or between 750 and there has been a continuous and constant decline of this ratio. This is a cause of worry, and there is also nutrition and health discrimination. Many 95% of the anemic patients are women, and health wise also this has an implication on their participation in work also. When you are anemic and you are not healthy, you may not be able to participate in work, and you cannot get income, and the family will suffer. You will also suffer because of the lack of income. And there is a difference in the achievements in terms of literacy and education, and HDI is really doing that in terms of, and measured in terms of the three components: education, literacy, life expectancy, and per capita income, where when you take into consideration the gender inequality index, then many countries which performed at the top in terms of HDI, the Human Development Index, slide down to bottom when gender inequality index was also taken into consideration. So that is an indication that if you want to really stay on the same point rank as HDI, there has to be equal gender equality. Then there is also a difference in terms of occupation and employment, and that is followed by differences in participation in decision making positions, be it leadership positions, education institution, and in economics we say primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. So in the service sector, mostly women are there, and in politics also now because of the reservation, and sometimes even without reservation also women started occupying the leadership positions, because it is only 33% in the local body elections, but it has the women elected members in several places constituted more than 40-45, and now we have 50% also. So it invariably conveys that women started working in politics, and they have been accepted also. And socialization, the institutional, social, cultural, and cultural conditioning and socialization. There again, it is a difference right from the childhood, babyhood, even when the child is in the fetus. In the media, again, many will say how they will never say this. The daughter is in the fetus. They will only claim that my son, he will come, he will rule the society. That is what they claim. And most important is ownership and control of resources, the property rights. Of course, they justify saying that dowry is also one way of giving some gifts and property or some resources which will be available for women at the disposal to use. No, that is not happening. Again, you are endowed with resources. This Indira Awas Yojana is giving joint deed to get that registration done. You also belong to, you have the right to sell, but unfortunately that is not happening, because actually it is for namesake it is, but every right to sell it off or mortgage it to be resting with men. And so again, the norms, the customary norms, rights, marital norms, practices, social expectations, etc., and the neighbors' interference. Like when you do one, supposing you are a college student, you are going out, and irrespective of whether boy or a girl, you may be doing some additional course and come back. Boys will also do that and come back. But the neighbors will question when, or they will start gossiping and that why this girl is coming late. Not never question the boy. Then gender roles, division of work tasks. So that is followed by all these discrimination ended up with division of labor and therefore gender role. So if women do not work, it is not an issue at all. But man does not work, then it is a big issue. He is not good for nothing. How he is going to establish himself in future? Who will marry? And marriage cannot take place unless you get some work and also decent salary, etc. In the matrimonial columns, you also see how stereotyping it is. What are the requirements given there for brides and for grooms? Then all these end up with like declining sex ratio in terms of discrimination or differences in the achievements of literacy, education, employment, income, and control over resources, property rights, etc., etc., ended up with gender-based violence. So ultimately, when the difference exists, then it is conveying that we means the women are not equal to men. There are discriminations. So discrimination, difference, etc. in eventually, incidentally, convey us that there are men cannot be equal to women or women cannot be equal to men. So that the the balance which is missing, and I feel that I am a woman, I am inferior, whereas a man feels that he is a man, he is superior, and that always keep the balance like this. So men will be there in the dominant and women will be there in the what you call the bottom. And therefore, the balance will never come like this. The balance is supposed to be like this when gender equality prevails. And when you are there and the other one person is here, you always boss over, you always tease, you always rape her. So all these things happen. So that is what I am trying to say, that the gender inequality which is presenting in the society lead to the or manifest itself into the violence against women, different forms of violence. So irrespective of whether you are a close relative, you are your own daughter. Sometimes the father in Kumbakonam, there was an incident that for three children, and the girl was going there and delivering. The third children was delivered only. I am trying to finish. Please hold on. And they came to know that it is the father who is responsible for this girl to get pregnant. So this is the state in which we are. And so there are a whole lot of institutions, I just spell out and go, which are reinforcing the gendered expectations of society, which starts right from the family and followed by education institutions, society, caste, class, religion, culture, media. I wanted to really spend time with media, but really don't find time. And we will have definitely a discussion on gender in media where we will be discussing literature, epics. So all these are written. They are all not real. They've been given to us, right from whether it is Mahabharata or Bible or Quran. They are all written and given to us. And mostly they are written by men, because the period in which that were all done, all men only were occupying the public space. Women were hardly there in, like as I said, tokenism. And this, when you don't have the critical mass and only one or two, they will also be patriarchal. The women will also go the way in which the path provided by men, and therefore they won't make any difference. That is why even the political leadership, when a woman occupy the political leadership, also sometimes they will perform like man only, because there were no models. So they were earlier seeing a man performing, and they will go and occupy that seat, and they will also be like performing. And only when you are with gender sensitivity, you will be making a difference. Then the state, law, market, they are all interconnected. The three pillars of the society. So how legislation is really struggling, like you have written laws, but they are not really working. Social norms, ritual, custom, traditions. Then there are a number of areas in which women are not able to come, and or they are not they resist to come and resist to change. And this is because and this has been attributed to the fear of unknown. When you go and articulate yourself that you need this, then people around us around that particular maybe making a comment. So that is right. So I try to finish with this slide. I mean, finally, what to do, the way forward. Then I leave it at least some few minutes for discussion. Fear of unknown, lack of information and misinformation, and no perceived benefits. So many things, strong peer group knobs, etc. So I'll, having done this, the difference between sex and gender and conveying that you shouldn't mix sex with gender, and sex is something biological and gender is sociological. And when I say so, gender is sociological and social construction, here around again 2200 and odd 16 participants are there, and this has to spread to 2000, 20,000 to lakhs, 2 crore of population. So that is the task for us. And only when we are sensitized, we are gender sensitive to what yesterday it was pointed out. You wear the glass in technically in women's studies we say gender lens. So when you see wearing a gender lens, you will understand and interpret that better. When you see with a blank actual eye, which is not gender lens, with the gender lens, then your interpretation will be different. So you all wear a gender lens before analyzing a particular issue and try to comment on it, try to empathize on it, and try to resolve it. And if a particular girl or a boy encounters with some problem at the classroom, you see in that perspective, you use a gender lens. Of course, tomorrow it will be also discussed the life skills, like you have to deal with empathy. You stand on the shoes of others to understand their problem. When you stand on your own shoes, you may not be understanding the problems of others. So gender also the applicable for that. I do have another presentation which is out of vast thinking, but I'm afraid whether I'll have time to. So what has to be done? So I'll just spell out some of them and leave it to you for. So what universities, I just stopped, like the curricula should be gender sensitive. So we in Bharathidasan University succeeded in introducing foundation course on gender studies, and all the UG students are doing. And as yesterday Madam Sushla mentioned, you have to make it compulsory. You should not give option at all. So compulsory, and many students have appreciated this because what we have followed the strategy I should share here. We never stopped by just introducing the paper. We also prepared, based on that syllabus, a book on gender studies, both in Tamil and English. When you are doing somewhere other states, in that vernacular language also you should go. So now the books are available, and therefore even if the teachers are not teaching, students take that book and read and appear for this exam. And even I don't claim that the teachers will be gender sensitive enough who are teaching these papers. So students will be better, and they will be understanding and taking it forward. And that is what we are expecting, because you are all the future pillars of the society. And helps teachers who are aware of non-sexist education. Yeah, some collectivism is required. Some teachers who may be with the same ideological thinking or come together and take it forward. Then curriculum redesigning is required. I told already that it is when you are thorough with gender sensitivity, you can look back, go back and revisit your own syllabus, or in the school syllabus, how it is gendered, how people are not represented. Now there is a change taking place, but whether a particular syllabus has both inputs on women and men. For example, now you have the contemporary women's movements. Whether the history books will include, or social sciences book will include the contributions of women in the current contemporary context, where women from the grassroots are coming out and fighting for whatever the issue, whether it is Neduvasal issue here, that is something related to environment, methane extracting, or the Kudangulam, or whatever the sterilite issues. So they have to be brought there. And what is the way forward? Of course, I have a picture here. This is again a stereotyping. When you go conduct a census, for instance, when you go and ask this, members in the family, particularly women will be present. Men would have gone out, or they will be taking otherwise outside. And so you take a census. So what are you doing? then the woman will say, no, no, I'm not doing. I'm sitting at home. I'm simply sitting at home. They never value their work, all the work that they are doing as work. And but incidentally, he was simply that man who was conducting the interview. He was simply listening to them. So one was saying, "Oh, we will go and collect fuel wood." Somebody is saying, "Oh, I'll also take care of the garden," and somebody else was saying, "Oh, I used to go and harvest the paddy and come back packing them." Then, "Oh, I also cook meals." Another one is saying, "We do convene eating and we meet and we take care of the child, etc., etc." So finally, he said, "Okay, I just wanted to check. So you are not working. So we don't work. So that is what it is." So the women must recognize their values, value of the work, and I just final way forward slide. So get sensitized and sensitize others. That is what we have been trying in this month-long gender sensitization program. So each one must get sensitized, understand gender, and understand why particular force is working or particular force is not working, and what are the reasons, and question what is responsible, not who is responsible. Not individuals are responsible. It is the system. It is the social system, the social structure, which is divided. It is compartmentalized, and you have the compartmentalization on the basis of women, gender, the class, the caste, the religion, the region, and etc., etc. Then re-socialize on gender stereotyping, socialize on gender equality from childhood. So you instill the gender sensitivity, gender equality, that I am not superior to anybody here, I am not inferior to anybody. So that is the kind of an understanding that every child should be. Share the household responsibilities equally. Do not allow patriarchy to rule. That is what it is being done now, and social expectation of being feminine and masculine to get ruled. No, give it up. You both of you are some context you are masculine, whether it is a man or a woman, and some context you will be feminine also, both men and women. So don't make them rule. Understand that there is not masculine and there is no glory in maintaining the same. Anmai in Tamil say, you have to show your masculinity. You have to prove your masculinity in anything. If you are not, you are failing. People will say, better you wear a sari. He asked him to go and wear a sari. This is the extreme form of ditching, degrading the women. Because women are wearing the sari. When you ask, see, you are equating the women to such a covered position. So you have to give it up. It is a loss to person, individuals, and society, the gender inequality or gender discrimination, to maintain and practice patriarchy and sustain unequal power relationship. It is not going to help anyone. You also, you feel being whoever it may be, whether a man or a woman who is appreciating and for governed by patriarchy, if they give up, then they feel that okay, they will be losing something. No. See, for example, 33% reservation we have been fighting for past 30 years. They are not being sanctioned because the chair has been was occupied by men for a long, and it was suggested that take 100 more additional parliamentarian seats, MP seats, and bring women. This is the perspective. So you are not really helping women to come and inclusive. Rather, you exclude them, or you are asking or demanding for additional seats. And aware, be sensitive, realize and implement gender equality practices. Let us create a world where no girls will be unsafe and no boy feel insecure. So this is a statement. So I often close my interaction on gender sensitization like this. The gender values and gender roles. So you have accepted the gender roles changing over the period. Whatever. See, we are many women sitting and conducting and listening to virtual meetings. So this is a changed gender role. You haven't confined to docility, to four walls, etc., etc. You have changed, and the society has comfortably accepted because you are bringing some additional income to the society. That is what it is perceived. That's what I'm saying, additional income. It is not even recognized as main income. But where is the value? Whether the gender values are changing. Why? When I go out as woman, you come back when a man or any other members of the family can take care of the household work. When I go and engage in convocation duty, Just because I happen to be a woman, I will be given reception, duty in the reception or food distribution. Why should? So same is true when it is IAS officer, of course IPS officers, even the police department. I heard that there are certain tasks and they will impose that to be for women. And these stereotypes, which starts right from the childhood, and that is what I mean, the gender role division. So you have accepted gender roles, but why the values are not changing? The gender values must also equally be changing with the gender role. So only then you will be able to enjoy a particular context in which gender equality be ensured. And in the academia, you have to include women's studies perspective. Yesterday also it was reinforced in the extension activities, in the curricula, in research, etc. And being an interdisciplinary subject, you have to invite and incorporate, like people who are from other disciplines, please approach women's studies to how to take it forward as interdisciplinary interaction between women's studies and economics or commerce and whatever the other subject. Then generate new and organic knowledge through intensive field work. So only when you interact in the field, you will understand what is happening. So you don't judge without really going to the field and understand what is happening reality. Better understand the problems of grassroots population women and incorporate into higher education. See, when we talk about women issues, it is not the middle class, the upper class, upper class woman. It is the issues of the downtrodden, the person who is really suffering without food, the household, grassroots households. Help in designing extension activities. So this particular women's study should also help to design the activities which will be instilling gender sensitivity. Then change the attitudes, values on women's roles. It is stereotype, no? Women are supposed to be docile, etc. And rights to roles and rights and equal participation on socio-economic political processes and national international development. Then promote awareness among men and women on the need for utilizing women's full potential, that is, as resources. As a human resource, it is only 25% of the women are in economic participation. There will be a discussion where Indrani Mazumdar will be talking on 25th on this declining participation. She will be coming with data, and would certainly be an important topic to be discussed and also researched. And we haven't paid much attention. They need to question the existing values and the social responsibilities so as to enable women. Then countering the forces emanating from certain sectors like media, the economic, social and political institutions. Like media itself is one important largest educational institutions where stereotyping is being reinforced. You need to question. That is what the alternative perspective builders must come out and counter that. Then contribute to make universities and related institutions gender sensitive. So that is very important, and many a time our own colleagues may not understand what is women's studies, what is this women's studies doing, why there is a women's studies as a separate department, separate center, what is the subject matter of women's studies, what do these women studies students do or gender studies students do. So all these are there. So it is our duty to communicate continuously to other faculty members also in the university and college system. Gender roles, yeah, I have already told that. So this is what I want to say today. And there are many things to be told, but it is not possible within an hour to share everything. And now I leave the floor for discussion. And if there is any questions, you can raise your hands and ask, because going back to the chat box and answering will be difficult. You can unmute yourself and then come out and ask.
Madam,
yes.
You should have also highlighted from the economics point of view the gender budgeting, number one. And I am very happy that you have made a very good discrimination between biological differences and sociological differences. So this is the advantage of this listening to this lecture. So very nice of you, madam. Very good.
You can introduce yourself, sir. You can introduce yourself.
Yes, I am Dr. B. Gopal Singh, Professor of Economics and Management, madam.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Yes, there is a separate discussion on gender budgeting. We are going to have one.
Okay.
So this is only saying there is a need for gender sensitivity for every
Yes.
individual. So I
Yeah.
focused on that. Yes,
Thank you.
Jennifer. Jennifer is asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, I would like to ask you a question that, as you know, like I've been working in the university system like for the past some 19, 20 years or so. Right now, see, I have like on this many years of experience and also have academic credentials. But when committees or working committees or any other committees are constituted in the university, we women are being allotted only the work related committees like publication committee, newsletter committee, and all that stuff. Uh, we are denied place or membership in decision making committees like research committee or academic committee and all that stuff. How to overcome this, madam? Like as a experienced academician by
Yeah,
law, can you please suggest?
that is the topic of today. So gender sensitivity is needed for the person who is occupying the chair. So
Yeah.
definitely, when Armaiti Desai was there in the UGC, she made it as a point that 30% of the women must be there in any committees in the universities. But
Okay.
after she left as a chairperson of UGC, that has gone, everything gone in air. So I think this is again, as yesterday, Madam Professor Sushra said, it is the patriarchy force. So everything, I'm happy that sensitized men are there with
Yeah.
heightened gender sensitivity. So they will see that, say, for example, I attended a LEAP program at IIT Bombay. So they made it a point that 30% must be women, and it has even crossed more than that.
Oh.
And whoever were present were very articulative on gender issues. And I mean, in the speakers also, they were very sensitive. So they brought some speakers, 30%. Of course, 50% could have been brought, but at least 30% could
Yeah.
live on 20, at least 25%. So that sensitivity is required. And when we listen to the director IIT, was just a gender sensitive person, not the gender sensitivity, every sense of the term. Like you have to understand the issues of the students, you have to understand the need of the faculty, etc. So that is missing with the head of the institutions at present. And you can get that, say, for example, I am the dean now. And this
Yeah.
has come because of my virtue of my experience and my that seniority. So already women are less in number. Maybe definitely after 10 or 15 years, more women would be there, and the equation would certainly be changing, and the percentage of women would be more in that position, whichever at least the due. Even I was not able to get my syndicate membership. I'm the senior most professor here, and these are all the issues, and I very much attribute this just because you happen to be women, you are not able to represent, there is lack of bargaining, negotiation and collectivism. And when you go and approach our own women colleagues also, they may not I
Yeah.
mean, volunteer to represent, because it is the era where you are not supposed to go against the administration. You just go and with the air, so that you will flow. Otherwise, you will get stuck. Even this, whatever due is to come, won't come.
Yeah.
So this is not a healthy situation. The gender sensitivity is very much required, and it is our duty to, when you occupy the chair, or people with gender sensitivity occupy the chair of vice chancellor or registrar or syndicate member, they have to see. Even inviting the speakers, many a time
Yeah.
there won't be women at all. They will even simply say that, oh, women are accepting, but they are not coming. This is our lay excuses. So
Madam.
we have to work towards. See, Jennifer, being a sensitized person, you always write what is there. You just write that you are there, you have been contributing, and you have every right to be in committees. So it has to be considered, and refer the UGC norms, the rules also long back. It has to be
Okay.
referred that 30% women must be there, and if it is not, I used to write to my university. And of course, I have invited trouble also by writing that.
Yeah,
And
that is there. Even I have written a letter to the Vice Chancellor, quoting like for the last 6 years
no, no,
what
we
I
keep
did.
writing. We
Uh,
keep writing. That definitely we have to meet the consequences, but we keep writing.
True, true. And one more thing, ma'am. Like as you know,
Yeah,
like I have faced a trauma related to my professional
yeah.
issue. One of the senior most professors in the university advised me. See, there are
Mm.
56 women assistant professors and teaching faculty in the university. Why can't you be like one among them? Why do you want to change the
You
university?
should not be a different
Yeah,
person.
if you are
Yeah,
like that, you will face this
that
kind
is
of
right. Pacifying.
problems.
Mm.
So
Yeah, you safe. You feel safe only when you go in the flow.
go along the
If you
yeah.
are deviant, yeah, you will be. That is what it has been. That is again the construction. That is again patriarchy. It is not that particular professor speaking. How he has been trained in the patriarchal context, that is speaking. That is why I again underline that we have to question the system. We have to ask what is responsible rather than who is responsible.
Yeah, one thing,
Yes.
may I
Yeah.
raise? Yeah, like good evening to everyone. So I'm so
Good
happy
evening.
to hear that Madam Mani has actually, spoke on a very important topic. So I have my own experience. It was in 2007 end, then till 2008, 9, 10, and 11. I was appointed as a chairperson of the Panchayat Mahila Shakti Abhiyan Core Committee, Government of Mizoram, due to the directive, imposition of the Ministry of, Panchayati Raj. So, because Mizoram is non-panchayat state, then women political empowerment is very much required. So, to make a
Yes.
women political empowerment movement, this committee was formed. Then I was made the chairperson. Then we prepare seven, pages long charter of demand, a roadmap, and all. In that, we have also included this Women's Study Center. That now this has been materialized. That is the success story, one of the most important success
Very
story.
good. Very good. So
And
we.
another important success story that very committee could champion was that seat reservation in the local self-government institution. That is Mizoram Municipalities Act. So seat reservation has been inserted well through amendment there in the state legislative assembly. That is another one. At the village level, seat reservation is also made available now. So many other things are also there. So when in many demand points are not yet fulfilled by the state government, even though that very committee was no more in existence, but representative women group has been formed, so they are acting as one of the most important, I think, agent for women empowerment movement. So in that roadmap, as many madam has mentioned in her presentation, that there should be women representation or 33% women in any composition or a board or a society or a commission or whatever we have that has been appointed by the government of India or government of Mizoram and all, unless and until women are in this critical position, it would be really very difficult to make a positive change. So this has to be actually pressurized once again, even to the government of India. Maybe through this UGC also, at least we can, make, a stronger point, because when we have a women, what is called Madam Sukla is here in the standing committee for women studies and all. She is very helpful. So if
Yes.
had there been a man sitting as a chairperson of this women's committee, standing committee, it would be really very difficult. So in that way, it is a good example. I'm citing one of the only. So if we can have more women sitting in this critical position where maximum policy changes that has been taken place, then we can have, I think, a better outcome also, so that women empowerment or women's development or taking care of the half of the population can also be actually taken care, then these big countries, India, can also actually attain higher, what is called achievement in terms of economy, in terms of politics, in terms of social, and so many other aspects. This is what I would like to add. So if you have
Okay.
any comment in that issue, Madam, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's all observations. So I think we can allow one more question or observation. And I appreciate Zoe for bringing those points and also the success stories, which is would really be encouraging others also to follow the suit. And I fully agree that any leadership position with gender sensitivity, respective gender, would certainly bring the balance, gender balance. But unfortunately, what is missing is gender sensitivity. Sometimes we try to overlook that. We are not actually concerned with that. And it is not questioned also. That is why here, either it is being told that, okay, you are a woman, you keep quiet, or they simply say excuse. But thanks for the Mizoram experience. And let us look forward for similar things to happen other areas also. We will provide opportunity for those who haven't spoken for one or two questions because it's already 4 and recording becomes a problem for the organizers. It is difficult. Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, this is Mahjub bin Rahman from Women's Studies Department, Guwahati University. Ma'am,
Yeah.
so my question is what are the changes that could be made in media platforms? For example, we come across to advertisements which delivers the most ideas of gendered stereotypical roles. Ma'am, what
Yeah.
are your views on it, and how do you think that the changes can be made for creating further
What?
the
What we have
contents?
been. Sorry.
Ma'am,
Yeah. Finish.
further contents that would help in gender sensitization, and also, ma'am, we can see that there are women in media platforms, but still there is a lack of ma'am, the
Sensitivity.
advertisements we can say yes, ma'am. There is very very much lack of gender sensitivity in this
No,
platform. So,
that is
ma'am,
what I admitted already,
mm,
Mahjab.
yes,
Because
ma'am.
Being women, it is not guaranteed that they are totally gender sensitive. Okay, they are also
Mhm.
part of the society, and
Yes,
they have
ma'am.
also been brought up in the patriarchal context, and therefore, suddenly expecting a woman alone to be gender sensitive is difficult. And the second is that, but they have the social responsibility too. And that is why people keep saying women are enemies to women, etc. So those things should be given up. And as far as the first question is concerned about the how what changes,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
fact, I quoted 2 examples. So one was
Mhm.
progressive, the other one was regressive. So
Okay.
it is our duty as students. I think it is our duty as teachers to instill the gender sensitivity in the students, and let the students take it forward in future discussions, etc. That is what we have this gender champion club, and they have to write. It is not that we are doing women's studies and practicing women's studies. We have to also take the social responsibility to attack the gender stereotyping or gendered impositions wherever they see. For example, I quote an example where my students were once they traveling in the bus. The bus was playing the videos and also songs, I believe, which actually portraying the indecent, because you have this indecent representation of women.
Yes, ma'am.
So they went and questioned the driver that such songs are supposed to be not to be played, and he was not he was resisting, and then they approached the conductor also, and they explained that this is the law. You are not supposed to play these songs in this public, so otherwise we are going to take action. Let this bus go to the police station. That is what they said. So our
Okay.
women study students are supposed to do that, and they see when the women, students do it, it will be taken strongly. It is, and the
Yes, ma'am.
teachers are not helpful. So students have the responsibility, even liberty to do it. So that, so let us use the students as the platform, and you write to the papers, even the gendered language, how they are being used, in the gender insensitive language they use. Of course, in
Yes, ma'am.
Tamil, you must be having in your language also, and how they are being portrayed. That always the women would be in the receiving end. They don't show the agency of women. They will be showing their stereotype role. So you have to also create a group to have alternative documentary films taken, and they have to be use the social media now and disseminate that instead of the mainstream media reinforcing the stereotype.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I think Dr. Neela, we can close.
Yes, ma'am.
It's already, yeah, 4, and you
Yes,
will
ma'am.
find it difficult. Is there any
Yes,
pressing
ma'am.
questions in the chat box? Anything? Otherwise, we can close because I didn't go to chat box at all.
Madam,
Yes.
equity and equality you were telling.
Yeah.
Say, for example,
Uh,
giving 33% reservation to all women is
mm,
equality.
mm,
Equity is giving
mm,
preference to the
mm,
downtrodden,
mm.
neglected, those who are in remand homes, and SC
Yeah,
and ST.
exactly,
That's what we are
exactly.
doing.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah, thank you.
Ma'am, another
There is one
question
question
in the
about
chat box.
national income accounting. So yes, we are going to have one discussion on that. I intend inviting Dr. Malati, who has done a lot of work on valuing the women's work, the unpaid work. She's from IIT Chennai. So she will be talking on women's accounting for women's work, the unpaid work. How is what are the methodologies, the opportunity cost method, imputation, etc.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there is a question I have just answered and by Shobha. Okay, so now you can, Dr. Neela, please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your excellent speech about gender sensitization. You explained very clearly about the difference between the sex and gender with very good set of examples with suitable pictures. Feminism is not about making women stronger because women are already strong. It's about changing the way the world perceives the strength. Really, we feel proud to be a woman, ma'am. She believed she could. Finally, she did. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your wonderful session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the instructions have already been sent to WhatsApp group of all the participants, and some of them haven't done yesterday. They have also here informed through the chat box that they haven't participated yesterday and whether the attendance will be. So what Dr. Neela was saying that those who have participated will get entered there in the Google forms and your attendance will be there. And those who are not able to really enter through this registration are also being supported by sending the link. So they'll also be into the envelope and they will be given attendance. And so tomorrow we are going to have, I already told you that Ms. Padmavati, a journalist, gender expert from Tamil Nadu, who works for the past 30 years or so on this area and produces a lot of materials on gender sensitization. So she will be talking on gender and life skills and how life skills could help in compacting gender stereotypes in the society. So please stay on and we will have tomorrow. We'll meet tomorrow the same time, 2:30. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.